want to ask you a question. Regarding the Alfalfa Club, the whole powers that be behind the scenes like this, the secret societies, and the push for technocracy. Okay, so that's what we're seeing that now, right? You see what Elon Musk is bringing to the table. You're seeing what this AI stuff. Back in the 30s with Technocracy Inc., they had the plans, the ideas, but they did not have the technology that they were waiting for. It's here now. Their goals are to dictate scientifically and through technology and scientific dictatorship. That's how they want to control us. They don't want to use politicians anymore. They want to replace politicians with AI systems, and that way it's so much easier. They have 1 point control over us then. It's almost like the consolidation of all the local mom and pop hardware stores into the Home Depot. Now you have 1 point control over all building supplies. Okay. It's the same thing with what they're doing. So if you can, I don't know if that's too much of a stretch to relate technocracy into exactly what you're talking about with these secret societies.
That's a part of the overall agenda of these organizations. I mean, these tentacles that I've been talking about. And that's why you see in rural areas where they're getting federal funding to get, these people that are, 25 miles away from their nearest neighbor to get them high-speed internet.
Yeah, because they need it, right? Yeah.
They need it. The technical infrastructure is something that the conspiracy needs to be in place. And so there are some people out there selling fear that in one aspect of there's going to be a crash and you're not going to have electricity, and they're the ones that are going to be doing it. And whether that happens or, whether there is a technology crash or not, that's a different story, but they're not the ones that are going to be doing it. They've spent the last 50 years implementing and building their technological infrastructure. They need it. They do not want to set off a collapse of their infrastructure that they need for total control. And so we need to understand that aspect of it. They want the satellite internet going into every community. They want to be able to, we have, all those STEM programs they're talking about in the schools, trying to get everybody to, government funding of people becoming programmers. All of these different things are needed to integrate their technocracy to be able to have total and absolute control. Just like after 9/11, we had the Patriot Act, and then there was the short-lived Total Information Awareness Program. I know it wasn't short-lived. They implemented it through other programs, but under that name where they had the all-seeing eye and the pyramid, and they called it the Total Information Awareness Program. They need this infrastructure to have their total information awareness. The 15-minute cities pushing us into those areas where they can have total control over us, where we depend on the government with our high-density housings. We can't grow our own food. We have to have city water. We are not independent in any way. They want us dependent. They call it interdependence. They want us dependent wholly for our sustenance and our livelihood on them and their ability to get us food, water, and shelter.
There it is, the SMART system, self-monitoring, analysis, reporting technology. And, everything that you just laid out there, Ben, that's part of the whole Internet of Things that Hillary Clinton was talking about in the 90s. Remember, she was flapping her jaws about that stuff. Well, people didn't know what it was. The first sign of it that I saw was the smart meter that was on my house suddenly, unexpectedly, when I came home from work one day. Then I started seeing the implementation of these smart meters on everybody's homes that we were servicing and going to. And now the LEDs, all the smart appliances, the smart card, the smart watch, the stuff that you put on your arms, the wearables, all the smart stuff.
Alexa,
all these things. I mean, I've been going on and on and on about this. Outcast, we've been doing this since day one, right? On this podcast for 4 years now. And look how close we're getting. The Overton window keeps getting closer and closer to this technology taking over, and people not seeing that these LED lights are not good for us. And they're not seeing that TV that you're so happy about is watching you and listening to you. And why do you need a camera in your TV, in your refrigerator? Anybody? Why do you need a camera in there?
It's important for us to understand that. Again, going back to, it's not just about ranting and raving. It's not just about complaining about, the Simpsons meme of the old man yelling at cloud.
Yeah.
It's we have to understand it so that we know how to make sure that we are molding our lives in a way that will help us to not be swallowed up by this technocracy, that we are not moving to convenient 15-minute cities, that we are not going to a car that can be shut off, and that we are not, going to public transportation, so that and then that we're not that we go back to land ownership, that we have the well, that we have the ability to grow food, and that we are in a community of people, that we're building understanding amongst our neighbors. So that way, just like with, the no-knock raid that happened to me, if my neighbors, if I lived in an area where they understood the principles of liberty and they understood what the threats of the police state were, we could come to each other's defense. And so if we're not dependent upon them for our food, water, and shelter, and that we can stand together to defend ourselves against their oppression, they have no power over us. And so if we understand their goals and their agenda, we can make sure that we are forming our lives in a way that we are dependent and free of them.
Yeah. Where can people get your books from? I mean, is it,
treeoflibertysociety.com.
Okay.
Go to the store there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was available on Amazon.
We were on Amazon for a while, and Amazon completely not only banned Invasion Volume 1 and 2, but they banned us from ever being able to sell anything on Amazon ever again.
Okay, there you go. So, that leads me to my next question. That leads me to my next question then, because I know that that's what the enemy does. If the enemy does not like what you're talking about, he's going to get rid of it, and he uses these outlets to do that, right? So I asked you about Amazon specifically because I didn't know if you were a person who was opposed to doing that. Obviously, you can sell a lot of books there, but they don't want they don't want you and what you're saying on their platform, which I think is fantastic. I want you to sell more books. But when you have these deceptive companies out there that are banning, what you're saying, obviously there's no freedom of speech, correct?
Oh yeah.
So Outcast, here we go again. Amazon's banning Ben's books. Why? Why are they doing it? What are they scared of?
What are they scared of?
I mean, it's like, you're over the target when something like that happens, right?
Yeah. But obviously Amazon will allow books, child porn type of stuff. They'll allow all these woke books out there because it toes their line, right? But it will not, truth like this, that it does exposure. No, not going to find it there on Amazon from these people.